or both? I hope you go to both because it's easy to drive around.
Go north. My friends have a house on the lake near Truckee, I guess, north.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance to get down, there's a bakery called Shotsky's.
Okay.
And they sell their product up in Lake Tahoe. Ben,
Okay.
do you remember Shotsky's?
Wait, well, no,
It's on the way to Tahoe. I forget what city it's in. The best bakery ever and deli. It's a family owned, and then they've got a satellite up in Tahoe. I'm not sure if it's North or South Shore. Shotsky's. Look it up. Enjoy. Gorgeous weather.
I have the most horrible recovered memories of the only time I ever went to Reno. I was 18 and my sister had won the Mrs. Minnesota pageant. I'll let that sink in.
I love that.
My parents paid for the entire extended family to go to Reno for the pageant. And the pageant was this 2-day televised ordeal. And it was like 150 degrees. And my father, who had terrible heart disease, was standing there melting in the sun outside the doors that they wouldn't let open. And we had to sit in his auditorium and be filmed, fake clapping for this Mrs. America pageant. It was the most horrific. I swear I have PTSD from Reno. That's it.
Wow, that's so funny. Yeah, go ahead.
So my childhood memories of Reno, I had an aunt and uncle that had mineral baths in Reno. And back then they were brothels. But I was a kid, and my mom had to have surgery when I was 5. And they thought, oh, well, we'll just send the girls to, the aunt and uncles in Reno. They've got this big ranch. And they had no idea. So here we go off to this mineral bath place in Reno, not knowing what it was. And me, being the adventurous explorer that I was, I wanted to go into every one of these these rooms that they would rent out. And they had to keep me back because, of course, you know what was going on this ranch. And so we were out there for 2 weeks. And that was my experience in Reno, was being on a ranch that turned out to be a brothel. So that was back in the very early, I want to say 60s, no, 70s rather, probably, late 60s. Yeah, I'm going to say late 60s. So, yeah, all desert, and that's what it was. So, but Tahoe is nothing like Reno.
Can I say something about your brothel experience, Sue? Because that kind of hey, really good stories this morning. Okay, Sue. I live for it, so I come on Clubhouse. Okay, so in Brazil, as Ben knows, there's this thing where, the youth, a lot of them tend to not live independently from their family. And so one of my really good friends, his family owned a love motel. And it's not trashy in the way that, right, Ben? That's the thing that Ben knows about them. Where young couples, just couples, even, whatever, they go to these love motels, and they're not, there's like a tub, some of them are themed, it's not gross, but it's just like, yes, passionate lovers deserve a space, and here's like a space for the passionate lovers. It's very cute, and it's like, well, yeah, that makes total sense, and they're not expensive, and so it's funny because we view brothels and things as negative things here in the United States.
Hour?
I mean, I actually don't. I think it is by like a time, I don't think it's down to the hour, but I think it's like an afternoon.
Mm-hmm. They often have rose petals in the shape of a heart on the bed, on the cover.
They're not dirty, they're cute. And so I just think that they're adorable. And I think it's a good thing for society to have like these little love motels and for it to be a little bit more acceptable.
I agree. There's very few freestanding buildings in Manhattan. However, there is one that sits on the side of the West Side Highway and right in between that and the Meatpacking District, right near the Whitney Museum. And it is the Liberty Hotel. And the Liberty Hotel, it used to be one where like sailors would go and like link up and whatever. Anyway, so it had like a pretty seedy reputation. But over the last 15 years or so, they transformed and leaned in to kind of their reputation and turned it into kind of like a, short-term stay motel with all the themed rooms, all the themed like love rooms, like heart-shaped beds and things like that, and kind of thematic in the rooms, and you can rent it by the hour, but it's usually like a couple hour chunks. And that's it, and they lean into it, and it's very cute, and I'm glad it's still there.
Well, you know what? Now everyone in New York has a roommate because it's so expensive. So if you wanted a quiet place, that would be an awesome alternative. And I think they should lean harder.
Yeah, and it's not cheap either. I mean, it's not as expensive as a full night at a regular hotel, but
I think there's an app in there somewhere between LinkedIn, leaned in, and hooked up.
That was really good, Al.
Very entrepreneurial of you. Yeah, that's really good. That's funny. I actually, out of researching curiosity, I actually did go to a legal brothel in outside of Las Vegas, which was quite the experience. It wasn't quite the Chicken Ranch, but it was sort of.
I was gonna say, was it the Chicken Ranch?
It was something similar. I don't know. The thing is I've been going to Vegas for years, because first for the photography business, and then later for the internet business. And in the 90s, I was going to Vegas 6 times a year. I mean, I might as well buy an apartment. But whenever in the 80s and 90s, whenever you went into there were always people giving off these. They were like business cards, and that's what they were. They just were advertisements to go to legal brothels, and they're outside of Clark County. So Clark County itself, where Vegas is, prostitution is not legal, but the county's outside, so you have to go about 45 minutes outside of Vegas. So I picked up one of these cards, and I had just separated from my wife, and I thought, well, I'd try this. It's like, why wouldn't I try it? It's like, I'm not going to be married, and there's no strings attached. And so it was like totally out of curiosity. And it was actually, I wouldn't do it again, because it wasn't really very fulfilling, let's say. But it was like a scene out of a movie. It was like you sit in a chair and they line girls up, and all the girls are in some outfit. Like one's a cheerleader, and one's a cowgirl, and one's a belly dancer. and you pick the girl you want, and then you negotiate prices and what you want. The process was really interesting. And it turned out I was with this I mean, she was so nice and pleasant. She was a nursing student at Santa Monica College, and this is how she made money on the weekends. And we had this very pleasant discussion, but it was really pretty surreal.
I was wondering, hi Ben, it's been a long time.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I was wondering, you were talking about heart-shaped beds. Does that make anyone more, what is the word, libidinous or more romantic? I feel like that would be a turn-off for me if it was like too cheesy. I don't know. Does that make people get excited?
Yeah, no, I know. It's the heart-shaped bed thing. Reminds me of what was the movie about the secret agent with Mike Myers? You know that movie, the crazy movie. Anyway, that's what it reminds me of.
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. It's an Austin Powers thing where the bed's like revolving around the room and it has like a bearskin rug on it. And yeah, it is sort of cheesy, Sora. I agree with you. I'm not in heart-shaped beds. Anyway, yes, beds in love motels. This is good. I also love hearing people's little personal stories. You know what it reminded me of when you started talking, Al? It started reminding me of this documentary about a music festival that like went bonkers. It was like the Fire Festival. Did anybody see that movie? Which was a true documentary of like this Coachella, Woodstock kind of event that had sold like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of tickets, and it was a total bust. I mean, it literally everything that it was supposed to happen didn't happen. The music bands all never showed up, and it was raining, and they didn't have the facilities, and there was like the whole. It was a big thing. I don't know if anybody saw that.
I have as long as we're talking about sexcapades, I've got a story to contribute.
Oh, good.
Yeah, when I was in my 20s, I was teaching in Osiris, and as English teachers, what we do on the weekends is go clubbing and nightlife. And so one of these times, I'm walking. Maybe I don't know if I was out of train fare or something, but I had a long walk back to my apartment. And this Japanese guy pulls up in a car and, offers to give me a lift. And then you get in the car, and then suddenly I realize that, oh, he wants a hand job.
Okay.
So, it's kind of awkward, but, also I'm like, wow, I just got into this car. Okay. So I told him that I would, the hand job, whatever, if he drove me to my apartment. And so he did, and then I ran out of the car.
Oh my God!
So, yeah, I didn't pay the bill.
Oh my God! I hope he didn't take you to small claims court. Yeah.
No, that's my story.
Well, that's pretty funny, but it also sounds pretty scary. I don't know.
Well, like the Japanese, I mean, blanket cultural statement here, but they're perverts, but they're polite perverts. So they wouldn't actually they wouldn't actually attack you or anything, but they will be perverted, and you're welcome. I don't know if you're willing to partake. But then they'll just politely drive away.
Wow. So he didn't, there was no foreplay talk ahead of time. He just went right to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just, I'm trying to remember now because it's been eons, but I think he just unzipped his pants and,
wow.
I pretty much put two and two together.
That's a pretty overt gesture.
Yeah, I must have had enough Japanese to say, something about, I'll agree to do it if you drive me home or at my place,
Right.
and then let me go home, I just told it.
That was just so very practical of you. I love it.
Yes.
Well, there's a Seinfeld episode about this where that happened to Elaine. And she was going out with a guy, and they were driving, and he unzipped his pants. So it does happen. That's a good story. Anyway, there's stuff happening out in the world, and we'd love to have more people up here. We've got 7 of my best friends. Oh, here we go. Wait a second. Uh-oh. I don't know who Angie is, so, but you can come up here if we know you. So I apologize, Angie. I don't know you, so until we get to know you, you can partake in the chat room or on the stage. But if we do know you, you know the rules. We have room for 12 at the table, and you know, where we talk about stuff. I'm just looking at this at the New York Times. This one thing I had just seen, it says Trump has drafted letter to fire the Fed chair and ask Republicans if he should. So this is pretty interesting that Trump is starting to do what Elon Musk does. Because this is what Elon Musk does. He goes on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. He goes on Twitter and he starts his own poll. And he says, do you think we should do X, Y, Z? And then, of course, whatever he wants, he does the answer because he only knows, he makes up whatever answer he wants. But it's like a really weird way of like pretending like he's democratic. So I guess this is Donald Trump's way of saying, it's pretty fucking crazy. I don't know, does anybody up on stage have an article that they read or something they've been thinking about, or if they want to vent about anything? I know, Scotty, you must have something you want to vent about.
Me?
Yeah.
No. I mean, people were surprised that Cuomo was running as independent, which is what I told everybody months ago that he was going to do regardless. So he's running as independent. The polls right now are 35 for Zoran, 25 for Cuomo. I think it's like 13 or 18% for the Republican Curtis Sliwa, the racist, and homophobe, and 11% for Mayor Adams.
So do you think it's not going to make any difference either way?
You know, it's hard to know. There's a lot of time between now and November, and they're going to be throwing everything at Mamdani. And once again, I think the takeaway here, regardless of what happens, Mamdani's campaign should be studied by the Democratic Party nationwide, not for the policies, specifically, thank you, but for the strategy that he was employing. Look at this, because he's run an exceptional campaign. He knows how to connect with people. He knows how to do social media. He knows how to do interviews. And he knows how to get back to like retail politics, going out, meeting people in the communities where they are, like one-to-one, and excellent at that. He has energized so many young people in this city, but also energized older people. It's not just cut and dry on, you know, the type of people that he resonates with. His message is very simple, is making New York City more affordable. And that resonates with pretty much everybody. I mean, lots of wealthy people agree too. And maybe that's because they hate Cuomo, they hate Adams, and they'll never vote for Sliwa. So that's possible. But the amount of energy around this guy is palpable. And to see it happening, it's very, very exciting. I don't know, I have a lot of issues with him vis-a-vis his policies and experience. However, I mean, if you can motivate a lot of people to be active in politics, I mean, this is a winning strategy for, for the Democratic Party across America. And again, not the Democratic Socialist Party per se, but just the energy, the connecting to the issues that people care about, that are very much like kitchen table issues.
Yeah, no, look, I agree with you, although the only critical thing I would say is I think what he did is amazing, and they should look at what he's doing and try to mimic it. But I think it's somewhat of a generational thing, because Cuomo is already starting to try to mimic the thing, and it doesn't work. It's a generational thing. Every time he tries to copy, it comes out very cringy. So I'm curious if his is really a young person's campaign, and if anybody outside of his generation does it or younger, it looks like it's manipulative, right? It doesn't look genuine. It doesn't look genuine for Cuomo to act like Mamdani. It just doesn't translate.
Yeah, I know. It's probably, you ran a terrible campaign that Cuomo got.
Oh, it was horrible.
Like really, really bad. Wasn't good in the debates and everything like that. Again, like a debate can change things. So if the debate happens, and Cuomo's on his feet, and Mamdani can't get any traction because he was fumbling over his policies that a lot of them can't be done unless, of course, the city council agrees to them, and of course the state legislature and Kathy Hochul pass things. This is specifically regarding like taxes and stuff that he wants to raise. So it's going to be very difficult. However, I think what's going to be interesting is how after the summer, after people are really focusing after Labor Day, what is the campaign going to look like? What are the gaps the candidates are going to make? Is Eric Adams going to even pushed above the 11% that he has currently? And how many debates? I don't even know how many debates they're going to do. And hopefully they do a lot. And I think a lot of people are waiting for something like that because a lot of people are not sold on Zoran. I'm not 100% on him either. I know that I hate Cuomo, but it doesn't mean that he's out of the picture for everybody, and he could sneak up there. So, how do we Cuomo switch the votes of those types of people? And the way that the map broke down in New York City is very fascinating. You have a lot of gentrified neighborhoods voting for Zoran. You have a lot of the old school black neighborhoods, a lot of homeowners that were staunchly Cuomo. You have the people who make under $50,000 a year. One would think they would be for Zoran, but they were for Cuomo. And then, boroughs like the Bronx and Staten Island, no surprise, went to Cuomo as well. So it's really fascinating to see the old neighborhoods in Brooklyn. The Bed-Stuy, which is a predominantly black neighborhood, but has been gentrified to an extent, and is also the wealthier black neighborhoods, Fort Greene, Clinton Hill. They all went for Zoran. But you go just a mile away and you're in, let's say, East Flatbush, and you're in Canarsie or Brownsville or whatever. Those are predominantly old school black neighborhoods, and they all went staunchly for Cuomo. So it's just fascinating to see this breakdown happening. So we'll see what happens. I'm very curious.
Yeah, me too. Since it's going to be my new home. Yeah. It is. I was just reading, I don't know if you saw this in the New York Times, that an ex-commissioner sues Eric Adams, saying that ran the NYPD as a criminal enterprise. Is that surprising?
I mean, yeah, we don't care. I mean, to be honest, like his corruption thing, when I was reading about it and found out like what it actually was, I was like, I don't know, on the scale of corruption, we don't want corruption, period, right? But on the scale of corruption, like, he could have been way more corrupt. $100,000 was what I think went to his campaign. I'm like, all right, well, that's nothing. If you're gonna go big, do $5 billion. All right, you got a free flight to fucking Turkey, first class, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, well, this is kind of on the lower end. It's corruption and shouldn't happen, but it's kind of funny that they were doing all that for him, and he's been labeled as a corruption candidate, which is true. He's corruption, but it didn't strike me as like completely over the top. Maybe we're just used to corruption being at such a lowest level.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he didn't do it. But look at this, because I was on a conference call with a lot of real estate people in New York, listening to a lot of like the bigwigs that has a company with regards to and so around its impact, going to impact the real estate market, how are people feeling about it. And the general consensus is, apart from like wait and see, It was more like, hey, New York is New York. You know, the people are, are always going to leave to go to Florida for this or that. But there isn't a mass exodus. There are some people who are inclined to sell anyway and leave to Florida and Texas to escape state income taxes. But generally speaking, like, where are you going to go? You know, to have the lifestyle that you have here, you got to pay for it. You know, nobody's going, there's no Broadway in Miami, there's no Broadway in Dallas or Houston, you know, there's no like crazy amount of restaurants. You know, great restaurants in Houston, of course, and, you know, parts of Miami, but there's nothing like New York City. And a lot of people live here and they're just, you know, sucking it up. It's not going to be a fire sale of people getting out of here because the Democrat social may be mayor. They scared the hell out of us when de Blasio was elected mayor because he was like one of the most progressive ones, allegedly. He turned out to be fine for the city. It was kind of like a lot. Like, yeah, people could leave or whatever, but, you know, taxes weren't crazy. And a lot of these politicians can talk shit about like, hey, we're going to raise your taxes, and everybody gets like really scared or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, the people end up staying here, you know, and the real estate industry is going to move on. The inventory is very low here, so it's still hard to find places at every single price level. And people are just going to, you know, suck it up. So these super wealthy people are going to suck it up. And if they have to pay, like, I don't know, what is it, 20,000 more a year, if you're making $1 million and more, that's Zoran's proposal. You know what? They'll get over it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a really good assessment. Yeah, and it's similar to the idea in California. Everybody's leaving California. No, they're not. And, you know, they're there. The reason why California is the fourth largest economy in the world is because it has all these advantages that are unique. So, you know, it makes no sense. And also, real estate is a long-term business. And they also know that if he's that bad, he's not going to last more than a few years, and it'll turn back to their advantage 3 years from now, and they can wait it out. It's like, there's no real like emergency here at all. Okay. Let's go to Andrew and then to Rick and David. So you guys get ready, and anybody down below that wants to come up. Andrew, what's happening today? Happy Wednesday.
Thank you. And you?
Yes.
Well, of course, fires are always in the news lately.
Yeah.
I guess I got 1 in 10 evacuees in Manitoba are not yet in hotel spaces, even though they're available. So I don't know. There must be some kind of
a fraud and a liar
involved there to account for the delay. We're talking about 1,000 people or so, something like that. But the hoteliers are saying there is room, so that's a good thing anyway. But yeah, you know, anytime government starts to chart your accommodations, you're going to have an issue, I think. Anyway, an incident out of Vancouver this morning or yesterday, and I'm not really sure the details. It kind of seemed a little weird. They're calling it a hijack. It was a small aircraft out of Victoria, so just across on the island, and they hijacked this plane. They being one guy, and he was the only passenger, or he was the only person on board. It said. So, and he flew it to Vancouver, and of course they had to stop flights from landing for about 39 minutes. Well, this guy eventually landed and was arrested. But I don't know if that's hijacking or just stealing an aircraft. I don't know how that worked, but it was kind of strange. And then this afternoon or this morning, Porter Airlines, which they run from Toronto Island Airport to Ottawa, Montreal, New York City, and I suppose they go out west too, because this flight had left actually not from the Island Airport, but from Hamilton, which is a great place to go if you want to travel anywhere in Canada rather than going into Toronto. Their international airport, which is a nightmare. Go to Hamilton, and it's just a little pokey airport. Very simple. So they had a flight going to Vancouver, which had to make an emergency landing in Regina, Saskatchewan. So that's about a little bit more than halfway. But I just think it's odd. Nobody actually flies to Regina. It's just one. Why would you, really? It's in the middle of the prairie, nothing there. Sorry, Regina people. Then a couple of weeks ago, I guess about 2 weeks, I think, there were 4 guys arrested in Quebec, and I meant to mention it last week or the week before, whenever it was. And these guys are, 2 of them are current members of the armed forces. I don't know who the other 2 guys are, but they were arrested because they joined. They were going to create this militia, which has its a beef against the government, liberals in particular, and they were found with a large cache of weaponry and ammunition. And this is so they've been two of them, like I said, are in the armed forces. I don't know about the other 2 guys, but 3 of them have been charged with terrorism. So I guess they were really actively trying to start something for whatever. Good luck. I know our army's small, but I think we can hold off 4 guys. But it's just, it could have been very catastrophic had they, just attacked civilians, not people that are, in around Parliament Hill or something. So anyway, that's a good. Yeah, but I mean, this has been an issue for the armed forces for some time. This extremest mentality of some of these people, and I heard this morning that 2 of them had actually joined the forces specifically to get trained for this sort of thing. So I mean, that's pretty extreme and out there. But yeah, this has been an issue in the armed forces, and I think you get a certain type of person that is attracted to that life, and running and jumping and playing with guns and stuff. And some of them are just whacked out. So I mean, I think you get that in the police forces too. People that are very militaristic.
Well, they have to look out for that to prevent that from happening. That is a thing.
Well, the RCMP arrested him, and they always get their man.
Right.
Yeah. So, and we don't have these love hotels you're talking about up here. We have love shacks, baby love shacks. And
what's the difference?
Well, the beds are in the shape of a maple leaf.
Okay.
Okay, kids. Have a good one.
All right, thanks. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, let's go to Rick. Ricardo, what's happening in the fine city of Oxnard?
Well, let's see. A Cal State Channel Islands professor, PhD, was taken into custody by ICE, and nobody knows where he is. Nobody can find him.
Wow. So they're claiming he's an illegal. Is that what they're claiming, that he's undocumented?
They're claiming that he threw a tear gas container at ICE. But he's just vanished. Nobody knows where he is. He hasn't been able to make phone calls. So
yeah.
That's the best
who did that.
No due process. Let's see. Pam Bondi dismissed the chief ethics officer for the Justice Department yesterday without cause.
Mm-hmm.
But, why do you need an ethics officer if you don't believe in ethics?
Right.
And then the one that really kind of hit home to me, for a nation that claims to be a Christian nation, is 500 tons of food are going to be burned.
Yeah, it's amazing.
USAID. They're biscuits. They're like protein biscuits. They're not. It's not lobster rolls.
Right.
I'm sure they're pretty tasteless. Designed food to keep people alive, and it's enough to feed, I think, 1.5 million kids for a week. They're just going to burn it. Doji.
That's the real criminal thing about this, is that even if you take their argument that there's waste, fraud, and abuse, why would they even be able to claw back contracts that already have been signed? It's like this is money that's already been paid. Why? How are they even able to do that? The level of illegality, let alone cruelty, is shocking. It's like, why wouldn't they let them do that and they just won't buy anymore? I get, Go ahead, sorry.
It's literally burning taxpayer dollars. Now this is the food that was. I think this is the food that was at the Port of Houston.
Yeah.
And it's been sitting there since they cut off the ID, and they wouldn't let them load it on the container ship, even though it was ready to go, it was ready to be distributed. They wouldn't let
already
them go.
Paid for, already funded.
Already paid for, already funded. Literally, they are burning tax dollars to be cruel.
Yeah.
And for a nation that, I can't believe that this isn't the churches across the nation and the evangelical pastors aren't screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sorry, I'm Jesus. Sorry, I'm gonna burn this fish because you all don't deserve it. It's so crazy. It's almost unimaginable the type of mind that would think up something so nasty and vile as literally just letting people die because, we want to make a little point here, a little political point. It's shocking, and I'm going to write to a few churches here in town today and say, hey, it's time for you to start speaking up about this stuff. You can't stay quiet anymore.
Rick, I agree with the principles that you're raising, but for this particular and food that's being incinerated, it was sitting in Dubai in a container. It was meant for distribution to Afghanistan, Yemen, and Pakistan, and there were all sorts of pleas, even with changes in policy for how aid would be sent to any of these particular countries, could it be redistributed or repurposed? And it was basically a symphony of incompetence among the administration. Nobody was responding or doing their job. So I think, if anything, what it highlights is this is only one area. What you're raising about the Houston location, a lot of that food, because these were higher energy biscuits, essentially, not that were meant to be shelf stable food, right? That high in fat, high in protein, and I think a lot of the food in Houston was purchased by U.S. Farms and agriculture, so that food probably would have gone bad far faster than even these high energy biscuits. So this is only one of probably many of the different USAID packages that had already been procured. We've already spent tax dollars on, and it's just sitting there in rot and waste. And it's incompetent. I think it just demonstrates that when we're watching these cabinet, I don't know what to call them anymore, these series of cabinet meetings that are being produced on TV or the tweets, these are people that think that they're governing, and they actually just don't know the inner workings of how the government operates. And so they're not responding to, they're not actually doing their work. They're not doing their job. We're not seeing any actual like bureaucratic processes take place as normal. And that is why it's problematic to get these quote unquote disruptors in when, if you can't pass an American citizenship test, probably shouldn't be working in the White House.
Right, or a background check. Let me add to that too. The distribution, at least I was reading, was about the fact that they cut so much U.S. aid that there was no way to actually have the manpower to distribute any of this. So, which is why they had to throw it out, and maybe they didn't even have the budget left to do that because it was all cuts. And here's the thing: this is what they're doing. We're seeing this in so many levels, where they come in, they don't analyze what's going on the ground and what things need to be, addressed. They just actually cut. They cut, they remove, they ignore anything that the previous administration has done. They will get rid of, or they will just not do it, or cease it immediately. And so we're seeing this happen on many fronts. One is this USA ID and the food that they're throwing out. Another, in my opinion, is the horrific flooding that was going on in Texas, that is still going on in Texas, where they don't have the response. They don't have the team in place. There are cuts that were made through emergency services. Then let's just forget about the fact that the government there, the local government, the state government, hates, regulations and hates democratic president aid to the states that could have been helpful in a warning system. This is the fact that, FEMA wasn't even ready or up to the job for this. And this is all because the previous Democratic administrations, the new one comes in, they don't believe in anything, any of the government programs, everything should be banned. And so therefore, the people end up suffering because their policy is not to actually govern, it's to get rid of all of the other things and maybe govern on a shoestring. Well, that doesn't work, and particularly in a transition. But this is not new to the Trump administration. You could argue back to 9/11 when Bush took office 8 months before 9/11 happened, he scrapped a lot of security warnings that Clinton did because it was a Clinton thing, and they ignored a lot of the things and intelligence briefings that were going on for Bin Laden and 9/11 disaster. They threw that out the window, and then look what happened. Absolute travesty. So this is consistent with when Republicans take over. They see what the previous administration is doing. They scrap everything and they want to start anew because, my God, Democrats are so bad. We can't even listen to anything that they have built up or done or warned us about. And we have to go our own way just to show them. And look what's happening. The people are suffering. That's what's happening. The end result is that the people suffer. It is inhumane, and this is consistent with what their party does.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty. This is a disaster, an ongoing disaster, and I'm seeing it here in West Africa firsthand, the problems that it's causing, and it certainly is not making our reputation. It's damaging our reputation, and at the end of the day, the idea of signing a contract in the United States is completely pointless. Because it doesn't mean anything. Treaties mean nothing for the United States. I think the rest of the world does, but the rest of the world understands that you can't trust the United States anymore. That they lie and they cheat. They have, for at least for the time that we have Donald Trump, it's the land of cheaters and liars, and that's the way it's perceived. Anyway, speaking of coming from the land of cheaters and liars, I want to say hello to Lady O'Deal, who doesn't come up here very often, but is one of our regulars. So, Lady O'Deal, what brings you up to the stage? How was that for an opening?
The land of cheaters. Wow. Well, I am in the land of the how to put it, the traffic. I'm right now just putting along here in the epitome of the
Nobody does traffic better than Los Angeles.
Nobody does that better. So that goes above the cheaters. So, but yeah, no, I was curious. I had a question because there was an article that caught my eye the other day of Elizabeth Warren talking about if tariffs are a cover for price gouging. And I wanted to ask if there's been any discussion.
Everybody's left you, Princess. You're the only one left. Everybody came to get the dopamine off.
It was,
chatter like a bunch of birds in a tree.
But
Chirp, chirp,
yeah, she
chirp,
wants
chirp,
the
chirp, chirp,
FTC
chirp,
to do a little check and see, what's going on exactly, and is that a possibility? And I thought,
I hadn't heard that, and I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Warren. She's my hero, and I get where she's going with it because basically what they do is they add the tariffs and then people get used to paying 20% more, and then they get rid of the tariffs and then they don't get rid of the price increase. They never get rid of the price increase. So it does. There's a logic in what she's saying. I'm sure they're doing that.
Yeah, so I just thought that was very curious, and if,
No, of course, but it should also be something that, in a normal world, both parties would want to look at. I mean, you would think logically that if the Trump administration actually wants prices to go down and people are cheating the system with the tariffs, one would think that they would want to be on top of this as well. I think both parties would want to be. But because of political climate, because Elizabeth Warren suggested it, it's probably not going to happen. But this is in her bag, though. It is about consumer protection. And I am sure, just like during COVID, a lot of companies raised their prices, and we never saw them go back down, did we? All those distribution chains, all the, the boats, all the ships held up at the port, all this other shit. Did we actually see the prices go down? No, because I go out every day. I'm like going to my diner. I'm going to, this or that. The prices that shot up somewhere between 2020 and 2022 are, guess what, the same price and higher. So I think it's all a friggin' scam. So I do want to point to one thing. That Peter Navarro, who is he the trade secretary or something for Trump?
Supposedly. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, he announced on news, I guess it was it on Bloomberg or Fox, I don't know. He said, as of July 1st, our country has brought in $106 billion in tariff revenue, and we're just getting started. And Chris Hayes posted a explanation. Chris Hayes said, put another way, we've raised taxes $106 billion on Americans. Because that's what it is. When the tariff hits, the price is passed on to the consumer. So yes, and they're continuing to do that. What I'm excited for, and my hope is that if Democrats get back in charge again, they can now promise, or at least use as a campaign thing, hey, we're going to get rid of most of these tariffs, and guess what? Watch the prices go down by X amount, and we're going to keep the companies honest about that. So if we lower the tariffs and the prices are coming down, we're going after the companies that don't do us. I think it would be a good thing to actually run on, like, hey, we're going to make shit 20% cheaper. Even if it's a fucking lie, look at where we are. We're in this, atmosphere where people are lying all the time and making shit up and hyperbole and all that. Why not say, hey, we're going to get rid of the tariffs and things are going to be cheaper because this guy fucked up. Oh, by the way, we're going to go back to Obama and Clinton era tax rates for the wealthy. And yeah, we're going to be able to expand Medicaid for people so that they can get health care again and all of that stuff. And these are things that actually people can latch onto and be like, oh, this party is going to be doing this. Okay, that's a vision I can get with, instead of being like, hey, Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. Yeah, we get it, Trump is bad. What's the vision? You want to get on our train? Because we're going over here with this vision. And that's what I hope the Democrats do. And I think the tariff can be a big part of it.
No, that's an excellent point, Scotty. I 100% agree.
Yeah. No, that does work. All right, we are into closing comments, pearls of wisdom. We got the last 30 minutes. Thank you, Lady O'Deal. Good to see you up here.
Good to see you.
Great to see you, Lady O'Deal.
Yeah. Someday I'll get back to Los Angeles. So, because I miss the traffic. No, not really. All right, let's go to David. David Jacobson has been sitting up there in the corner for a while. Awfully quiet.
Yeah, well, don't put baby in the corner.
No,
Nobody does that.
it's amazing. It's amazing to me to see further headlines come out about how Texas is shooting itself in the foot by rejecting, aid from Democrats to put in warning signals and infrastructure that would have saved lives, and just to see the political winds just blow right over. Nothing to see here. Let's just focus on the sadness. It's just a hall pass for them to keep being bad at government and being partisans. And I just hate the fact that the partisanship is the cause of all of these innocent people for not having any protection from what we have civilization that can think through these things and apply science and technology, but it just seems so wasteful. Then it's extended with this food waste, quite literally incinerating food that could have fed hungry people. But the cruelty is taking the headlines. The separating families. Maybe it's not even taking the headlines, but it's certainly stealing the emotional momentum. It's just tough. It's hard to see because it's just not really even covered down here.
Yeah.
In a way that people would open their eyes. I don't really. I'll change my PTR. I found an image. I'll put a link to it. It's a pretty interesting document from J.P. Morgan. 20 years of insights. This is kind of like what rich people read every year to see what the market's going to look like. And so it's essentially a log of history of what the private bank kind of individuals have been looking at and the way that they look at the world. I'll change my PTR because one of the last images is of a MAGA alchemist trying to fuck with government. And let me get that picture up there. You guys can maybe comment in the chat about how ridiculous that even J.P. Morgan is calling out MAGA for its cult-like behavior.
Yeah. I agree with you. It is. And we just have to keep talking about it so we can do something about it. What else can we do? Thanks, David. All right, let's go to Dr. Francine and then Perusia. Dr. Francine, do you have a closing comment, pearls of wisdom? Do you want to talk about what tomorrow's Karma Club is about? Have you come up with a theme?
Yes, Sue, it's going to be a question Sue came up with last week.
Okay.
And it has to do with whether we are now teaching people critical thinking or just information retrieval, and what that means, what the difference is, and what that means for everyone. And I think that's fascinating, because if everyone is, quote, cheating, unquote, with artificial intelligence, is anyone going to learn anything but how to retrieve information? And, I don't know. Because who's going to come up with new ideas if that's all we know? Anyway, it is at 11:30 tomorrow. God, we're at Wednesday. Tomorrow at 11:30 Pacific time.
And 2:30 East Coast time, yes.
Yes, that is right.
See, I did the math.
You're so good at that. That comes from living all over the world.
It comes from my years way back when they used to have slide rules.
David Jacobson is saying, who said we need new ideas? Well, I can suggest a couple
We just
of
need
places.
better ideas. They probably already exist. Come on.
Okay.
Existed for 100,000 years.
Okay.
We've got some good ideas floating around, but it's that we're taking not good ideas and implementing them is the problem. The second half of my comment is the bad ideas are trumping the good ideas right now. We don't need new, possibly bad ideas. Why don't we just step through the good ones and raise them above the bad ones?
Okay, well, does that come from artificial intelligence, or does that come
We can
from...
sift without a computer. We can sort those, I think.
Okay. All right. We're good then.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Dr. Francine. Let's go to Perusian. Perusian, do you have a closing comment, pearls of wisdom?
Hello, my dear friends, everybody on the stage, or of course, everybody in the audience. My dear Ben, it's for you in the morning. For us, the sun is going down on Europe. It's raining. I'm sitting in my wonderful garden and enjoying the conversation here. For closing comments, I want to share with you that we are very nervous in Europe about Jeremy Powell's situation now in the United States. I think the stock markets in Europe are a little bit nervous about the situation. We are getting used to tariff situations, economical differences, support of Ukraine, and or let's say at the beginning not that much supporting, then finding out that Mr. Putin is maybe not the one who or somebody you can deal with maybe the way that Mr. Trump has felt at the beginning. Let's close this room together today with optimistic vibes and hope for the best. We have still maybe 1 month to find out how we can manage the tariff situation between European Union and United States, and of course the Iran situation is we have till I think I've heard about till the end of August that maybe European Union the E3 countries would start the snapback mechanism of this nuclear treaty at that time under Obama, JCPOA. So we are going through our holiday times. It's summer. A lot of people are in the holiday right now with their families, and the politics is also going now through the times of the holiday, summer holiday. So, but we know that in 1 month from now, we have to deal two very important situations. One is the tariff situation with the United States, very important for the European Union countries, and the other one, the situation in the Middle East. Let's hope for the best. And I was just wanted to be polite and come to the stage and say hello.
Yeah, it's great. I always love getting your updates, and that was good, and also keeps us our feet on the ground. Because when you're sitting outside of the United States, you just see things differently, and we really appreciate it, and appreciate your half glass full attitude. We should. We can easily get bogged down into negative stuff, but it's good to remember that there is another side to it. So thanks, Persian. Anyway, I wanted to get, as we're closing down, I want to get Dr. Keisha. I know that she has something that she wants to talk about. You have some TikTok or something today? Go ahead, Dr. Keisha. Tell us what's up.
First, I want to say hi.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. It's so good to see you.
I know. I've been busy, y'all. I'm actually doing locums now. So I'll go to Brownsville for the most part, which is a border town.
Yeah.
And do a week on, a week off, that type of thing. So that's been busy, but the podcast is growing. That's
great.
And the conversations have been rich. We just did one on vaccine hesitancy. It just released on Monday with Dr. Tusa. Y'all, oh my goodness, the things that I learn every time I talk to her.
Now, where are the podcasts distributed?
Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. It's out everywhere.
And what's the title, like, if we needed to look it up?
So the most recent one is Every Child Deserves Access to Vaccines. So my producer changed all the titles to make them not clickbaity, but more reachable. So I can tell you to look at the descriptions because some of them, the titles really have nothing to do with the whole episode.
Well, but is it under your name if we go to TikTok and we look under Dr. Keisha?
Oh, you mean for the live? Okay, for the night. Okay, so the podcast is the podcast. That's the professional edited thing.
Okay.
The lives that I do are separate. Those are discussions based off of the podcast. So tonight we're talking about vaccine hesitancy based on those that have listened to the podcast with questions.
Yeah.
It's actually growing over there too. It's my name, Dr. Keisha Davis is my profile name. And Steve Crone was over there on Monday, y'all. We broke down the RFK. So a positive.
I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah. A positivity note is, okay, a bad thing is measles has reached a record high since elimination status. We're no longer at elimination status. But the positive is that doctors are fighting back, and there was a huge lawsuit with multiple groups that is against RFK Jr. and what he did when he broke the recommendation for pregnant persons and children not to get the booster. So it is the beginning of something. We broke it down. I think it was great because they explained the lawsuit and what it means. And then we explained the organizations and groups and how he is kind of dismantling what we're practicing. But at the end of the day, doctors are going to do what doctors are going to do. We have our own pediatricians have their own recommendations, and they're going to follow those until the bitter end. If you can't get access to immunizations, many of the doctors were sharing ways that you can still get them if your insurance isn't going to cover it. So don't fret yet.
Can I also,
but tonight at 8 p.m. Central.
Tonight 8 p.m. God, it's Central Time, okay.
Let me also
go ahead.
mention, because I got to take off in a sec. Dr. Keisha, thank you for messaging me. What a fabulous TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok since last year, so I didn't know how it all worked.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I was there, and there's so many bells and whistles, and I feel like a boomer when I'm on there because I couldn't understand how to comment or say hi or anything. I did, and I think maybe I hit a heart, but it wanted me to pay something. I don't understand.
But listen, Steve was saying the same thing. I was like, Steve, I understand it was overload. He's like, I don't understand what's happening.
It's overload. However, it doesn't matter because I got the content. I was able to listen to you and Dr. Ajusa and Steve, and I think there was another doctor who I didn't know. But regardless, the content was great. I actually loved it, and I hope to be able to, be a part of it again. There were a lot of people there listening in, and so much great information, that you guys always do. And it's just great to see new people and new questions and have a granular understanding of what's going on, particularly with the lawsuit, but also the directive of the vaccines and what doctors are doing. And when one of the doctors said, hey, I'm not taking any patients and don't get their kids vaccinated, things like that, this is all great to hear. So kudos to you. It was so great to see you in there with a bunch of other people giving out really great info to us. Thank you.
And it's video, y'all. You can see the video. I literally show my face. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I was there too. I have some weird username that I have no idea. I must have just made it when I went on TikTok the first time. But I kept putting in comments saying, hi, it's Elle. It was great. You did a great job. I was really, really pleased with it. Stop with the boomer comments.
It's okay. We can take it. Anyway, that's great, Dr. Keisha. We will all be there. That's wonderful. And anytime you need a plug, come on in and tell us because we're looking for high quality content. Anyway, I wanted to go to Sora's off mic. Sora, did you want to give us a closing comment, pearls of wisdom? Hello, Sora. Maybe she doesn't know she's off mic.
Leaving me with an existential question.
Sure.
Will MAGA make Democrats great again?
It may be a side effect if we ever get past this thing that we're going through. So it's a good question. Anyway, Barbara's here. Hey, Barbara.
The answer is yes, as long as we don't eat our own.
Yeah, that's true, which is really important. Barbara, closing comment, pearls of wisdom. Hello, Barbara. Barbara out in Canada. Hello, Barbara. Oh, she might be busy. All right. Well, then we're almost ready to go. I think I got everybody here. Victoria, did you have any closing comment, pearls of wisdom?
Yeah, I mentioned it actually in Dr. James's room earlier today, but I always sort of defer to Hamlin's razor, never attribute to malice what is adequately explained by stupidity, but also don't hire stupid people to the White House, please, because I think we're seeing the symphony of disruption, not just from malice, but just sheer incompetence and not understanding the fundamentals or basics. They didn't hire experts. They focused too much on hiring loyalists, and that definitely undermined the performance of different government organizations, decision-making effectiveness, and obviously, it goes without saying, for this group, has led to unchecked and unbalanced misconduct. The fact that our president has a meme coin, the emoluments clause is basically completely been eradicated, and we're just seeing it sheer misconduct, ethical violations, but a lot of it does rest in incompetence, and I think that shouldn't be understated. So the next time people want to hire people that have no government role or background, just remember that we're wasting and abusing taxpayer dollars to enrich the wealthy men in America, and we're also taking food away from starving populations, not only around the world, but if you look at some of the domestic cuts. So I hope that people pay more attention to the incompetence that is going on, and I really can't understate how disgusting it has been to watch.
That's a great share, Victoria. I just recently read the statistic that when we cut off this live aid, that program was actually costing Americans on average $24 a year. Who here doesn't have frickin' $24 to help save lives of children in other countries, for God's sake? So yeah, that number is, I'm never going to forget that number. When I saw that, it's amazing how it's like just a piece of data can really crystallize the whole situation. I was just amazed with, okay, who says 52? Okay, anyway, it's really important. Anyway, thanks for the share, Victoria.
Yeah, thanks, Victoria. Appreciate it. All right, I think unless somebody else wants to do a closing comment, Andrew, go ahead.
Yes, Peter Navarro is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, finance. Thank you.
Oh, okay. That was the answer, Peter Navarro.
I have one closing, which is I would just want to say how excited I am personally, because tonight is the 5th official Clubhouse Creative Writing Workshop starts. And I'm looking at my phone, and I'm going to be hanging out tonight with Odile and with Andrew and with Michael Barefoot, who's in the audience, my new friend, who ends up living in St. Paul, which is so cool, and one other person who you guys don't know. So this was an experiment, and we are now going into year 2+ and the 5th group on Clubhouse. So I'm very excited for that tonight. So I won't be there tonight, Dr. Keisha, but we'll be making our own magic.
Congratulations with that, Elle. And put any links in the chat so that we know where to go.
I will. We'll be opening registrations soon for for September. I've made a decision to go ahead and open a group for September, so I will share that information another day.
Okay, great. All right, I think we hit it. We'll close up a little early. So Rick, you are the caboose. So tell us what's some inspiration for the rest of the day. Rick, Mr. Oxnard. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I just just got back from our walk. So, I don't really have anything other than, with all this aid being cut, both internationally and here, little organizations need our help desperately. And they need money, they need people, they need resources. And, find one in your area and help them out, because a lot of them, there's going to be a lot of them going away that just don't have money. Even, it could be a little cultural museum in your town that's, the size of a house, because a lot of that stuff gets funded by government grants, they get part of their funding, and most of them are hanging on by, by a thread anyway. And so that's part of our job. Part of our job is to not let these things disappear, because they really are trying to make history disappear. A lot of the indigenous museums, the Mexican art museums, Latino art museums, the black museums all around the country that are small little private organizations are hanging on by a shoestring. And they need our help. And if we want them to survive until the next term, we have to step it up now. And so find something in your area that you're passionate about, or even across the country if there's nothing that you find in your area that you're passionate about. And, send them $5 a month, send them $10 a month if you can. And I know that everybody's asking you, all the politicians are asking you for money. Well, send $5 to the museum or to the organization, and then write to your congressperson and say, get this stuff refunded and maybe you'll get some more of my money. But for right now, I'm trying to save some organizations that you guys are killing. So that's what we can do. It's a little something you can do, and you can do it right now. You can, as soon as this room closes, you can go on your computer, you can look something up, and or you can write it down. So I need to look up an organization in my community that needs help. It's something you can do today to change the world for the better. And that's it.
That was great. Thanks, Rick. Good point. I know I'm going to be sending some money to the local NPR station, and I think it's a great idea. Museums, they all need help to keep the lights on until we can fix this thing, because they are under attack. Anyway, I want to thank everybody, all my wonderful people here up on the stage, and the mods, and the people down in the audience. We're going to be playing a song here in a second, so if you want to go up and down the chat room and pick up those links and copy them down, this is your chance. Or if you want to do a little after talk, go ahead and participate there. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same station, and have a great rest of Wednesday.
This wicked world, baby, searching for light in the darkness of insanity. I ask myself, I said, is all lost? Is there only pain?
of the deep state here in beautiful Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, we bid you adieu.
Ben tried to fuck my shit up.
So be it. This is Robert put the Robert put the IQ test on his PTI.
My IQ test. That's